Hey there, it's Jenny from Southern Savers. You guys are joining me live from my hotel room tonight. But that's okay. That's the joy of Google Hangouts, is we can do them anywhere. It may mean that we have some kids that make noise as they're just on the other side of a door, but thanks to Residence Inns, they aren't in the same room with me. That is, if you've never traveled with a big family, that's our personal secret. So there you go, some extra advice you didn't expect tonight. Our plan tonight is to talk budgeting, which, I'm not going to claim to be Dave Ramsey or any budgeting financial guru, but hopefully some of the things that we'll talk about will be some good tips, or maybe some things that you haven't tried with your own personal budget. And I have no doubt that others can throw in their 2 cents too in the chat. I've actually learned a couple of years ago on a hangout about one of the companies anyway that we're going to mention tonight, from other people sharing it as a great budgeting tool for them. So before we go tools, kind of housekeeping, if you're new to Hangouts, you can ask away any questions you have. You just click on the little red plus sign down in the corner of the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube, you do have to join the chat live, which I am just realizing I'm pretty sure I forgot to put a post up today for folks to even do that. So it's going to be everyone who saw the link over the weekend. Will probably be a small group tonight because of it. But for everyone that is here, great. For anyone that's watching after the fact on YouTube, that's okay. Every Monday night we're here, 8:30, same time, same place. And you can usually find a link to sign up down the bottom of the site if I forget to put up a post like tonight, but usually it's always there, as well as the top post on the site for the evening. So to kind of jump right in, what I want you to do, I'm going to talk budgets for a while. You guys feel free to enter all your questions into the chat window, and then when I kind of pause on budgets, we can go wherever your questions are. So Chandra's already got a question on CVS, and we've got questions on rice and saving money there. So keep asking them and we'll get to answering them. Our topic really just helps me to have something to talk about while you enter your questions, so that I'm not just staring at you. And it always helps us to learn some new things too. So to get started in budgeting, first off, the importance of this: everyone in my boat needs a budget, whether you are living paycheck to paycheck or you aren't, which is great if you're not, but you still need a budget, because it's what keeps you from walking in a shop and saying, yeah, let's spend that money. It doesn't matter. No, it does. And in the end, not sticking with a budget, you're going to end up grabbing all sorts of things that you're not thinking about. You're not going to be thinking about the bottom line at the end of the month. And things are going to jump up and kind of scare you in that, oh, we forgot about the car insurance payment that's not monthly, or other purchases like that. So we all need a budget no matter what. And the best budget advice that I can give you is, Dave Ramsey does this, other budgeting softwares do this, but every dollar needs a job. So when we talk about a budget, I don't want you to just sketch out on a piece of paper, this is how much the mortgage is, this is how much the electricity bill is. Great, we've mapped out our big expenses, we're done. A real budget means that we sit down. Step one is that we gather together what all of our income is. If you have one job, that's super easy. But if you have a job, your husband has a job, maybe you have a side multi-level marketing business, whatever it might be, any sort of income, we gather all of that together. And then once we have all of our income together and we figure out what that number is, we start to subtract expenses from it. So for folks that are saying that you can't see me in chat, I don't have any errors, and I actually have really good internet tonight. So I'm not quite sure what the problem is. Can you guys try to jump out and jump back in? So reload your screen, or even a different browser. I'm not sure. But for me, I live in the woods normally, and we're on super slow internet. So here in a hotel, we should be in the same room almost. It's like transporting through the computer screen. If that doesn't work, let me know. I'm watching you in chat. So back to budgets. We have that total income saved up. We need to work on expenses too, but before we move off of total income, the biggest question that I get from folks is what happens if we have a variable income, meaning it's not the same set amount every month. You're not on salary, you're on commission, or you just work an hourly job and it's totally up to the number of hours that you've been given. This is the tricky one for folks because it's not this set number. There's different ranging advice here, but some folks will say, take the lowest amount you've earned in the last 3 months. Some will even say the lowest amount you earned over the last year, just so that you're not putting yourself in any rough spot. We're looking at the lowest earnings, not the highest. We don't want to base any numbers off of some really, really awesome month. We want to base it off the worst month that you had. So if we have a lot of variability, then definitely worst of last year. If it's just a little bit of a variance in what you're earning, then go with the lowest amount you earned in the last 3 months. That's going to be your total income bucket. And then we're going to start to subtract expenses from that. So when I say subtracting expenses, you can go as basic as a sheet of paper and a pen, and you're writing down, rent this much, utilities this much, list out everything you spend money on. We don't even have to do the subtraction yet. Just list out every single thing you spend money on. And don't forget about expenses that aren't monthly, because that is where most people get sucker punched in a budget, because you're thinking, well, I can pay the mortgage and I can pay the electricity bill, I can pay the water bill, but then all of a sudden your car insurance comes up. It's once every 6 months. We pay ours yearly. And that walks in the in the door from the mailbox, and you are gasping because you can't figure out where this money is going to come from. Those are the expenses that we need to have factored in as well. So we're not just looking at monthly expenses, we're looking at every expense that you can think of that you would pay, even to a yearly expense. One thing that one budgeting app recommends is even birthdays, that we're taking into account what we're spending on presents, what we're spending on clothing, everything possible. Let's list them all out and let's give them all a value. Now, obviously that value is going to differ based on how much money we have. So we want to start with the expenses that we can't necessarily control. My mortgage or my rent, it's the same amount every single month. Obviously, I can't steal from the mortgage budget to pay for the clothing budget. That one I can control. So we're starting with the ones we can't control, and we're going to start to subtract those from the total first. Then what's left is going to get divided into the categories that we can control. Doesn't mean we want to control them, but we can. So this is dining out, date nights, clothing, a fun category. Maybe you know what your weaknesses are and you have a spa or manicure category. I don't have one of those. I can't tell you the last time my fingernails were actually painted. We all have little things that we splurge on though. If I were to leave it up to my children, it would be an ice cream category, as we all just melted earlier today at the idea of the fact that we weren't going to get ice cream while we were out. Everybody has something though. So as you are figuring out yours, list every single expense. Let's start to subtract them from the total. Once we go through mandatory expenses, we start to work through the ones that we're still going to have. I'm not saying clothing is not mandatory. You should wear clothes. But it isn't mandatory that I go out and buy brand new things if I do have closet items that will work. If the budget money isn't there, it's not there. So we have to kind of work that in as we get there for other items. So we've started to subtract our expenses. This is the part where we're assigning every dollar an expense or a job. In the end, if you finish subtracting and you still have a couple $100 left, wonderful, but that's not the goal. The goal is that every dollar has a job. So that couple hundred, that's going to go to, savings. Hopefully we've already knocked off charity or tithing up near the top. But any extra is savings, 401k, IRA, but we're not leaving this little $200 play money sitting around, because play money gets spent. Play money does not get saved. So we want to make sure everything has that bucket attached to it so that it knows where it's going. Again, savings is fine, 401k is fine, it still has a category attached. It's not sitting there so that you walk into the China shop and buy it all thinking, well, I have that extra $200 that, is just sitting there and it's my play money. No such thing. It has to have a category. That's keeping you from making that splurge, which is what a budget's there for. Budget's there so that I save more, not so that I have splurge money, but so that I'm saving my money in the end. So we've dealt with all of those. Let's talk about some expenses, though, to be ready for in terms of non-monthly expenses. Again, we want to treat them like they're monthly expenses, but don't forget about life insurance, car insurance, health insurance, all of those that we may not pay monthly. Your health deductible needs to also be a category if you're regularly meeting your deductible. It sounds like we're having some issues tonight, but they're not for some reason on my side. So I'm wondering if it's an issue with the business hangout system that we use, that you're continuing to get kicked out. For folks that are getting kicked out, I'm curious if you were to head over to YouTube, if you actually, this is always live from youtube.com/Southern Savers, if you could just watch from that side, and maybe it's an issue in the chat section. I'm not quite sure what's up though, because it's definitely not giving me any issues or alarms. So try a different browser, try logging back in and logging back out again. Okay, so back to our non-monthly expenses, hitting all the insurances. Other non-monthly expenses, I mentioned the deductible, and that's a big one. Just as a personal story for us, my husband and I were just discussing kind of the events of the last year for us. A lot of unexpected expenses that popped up as our middle child was diagnosed with a hip disease almost a year ago. Her birthday's today, so it was a week before her birthday. And within a week, she had to have an MRI. And I won't forget this moment, probably at least for a very long time. I was on the road. We stopped in a Publix, and I was sitting in the parking lot, and my phone rang. I answered the phone, and it was the local hospital trying to set up a MRI that she needed. We haven't ever had an MRI done on any of our children. And the lady on the phone said, great, it's all scheduled. The MRI is tomorrow. I need you to pay your portion of it right now over the phone. And you're okay, great. I'm thinking $30, $100. She says, your portion is $1,250. And I just stopped. And thankfully, that money is in savings. That money is there. That is what rainy day funds are for. But at the same time, that's not money that I ever saw myself spending that day. And I had to take a second and honestly just pray and thank God that money was there, because 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been. And my response would have been to just cry because I don't know anything else I'm going to do. And that's not where we want to be. So we want to be saving whatever is being saved, assigning dollars out to categories so that you are building up a rainy day fund. You are putting yourself in a much better position and not just spending the money when it's left over. Because for us, that's what we were doing before a budget, and there wasn't much money left over. Money was incredibly tight for us, but budgeting helped us to really make sure that things were getting put where they needed to be put. So in that moment, yes, it was still a ton of money, but it wasn't to where I was having to sit there and ponder what bills aren't we going to pay this month. That wasn't where we had to go. We had the money, we could handle the expense, though it hurt. It will hurt everybody, but you kind of get the picture. So we've assigned took our total income, assigned categories, we're taking out all the expenses. And then you kind of have the feel for it. We have the idea of a monthly budget, but the other side to this is that monthly budgets need to be reassessed every month. And that's where some other people fail, because we can't just set up a monthly budget and walk away. We can't just say, hey, it's done, we're good for the next year. It has to be reassessed. Did you eat out more than you said you were going to eat out? Did I spend more in grocery? And it's not even reassessing it on a monthly basis. It's reassessing it as we make purchases. Is that I go to the grocery store this week and my budget was $50 and I spent $150. I need to reassess. If I did, then I need to pull things from other categories to pay that bill. So this is where Dave Ramsey's advice would be that we go on a cash-based system so that we're not using credit cards and debit cards, which is just pretend money land. We're using cash to where when I buy the groceries and I run out of cash in the grocery envelope, I'm out. And I have to physically take cash from another envelope and move it into the grocery envelope so that I can buy more groceries next week. It's a very visual way to grasp your budget. I'm not going to say you need to live on a cash-based envelope system, but starting on it, if you're really bad with sticking to a budget, is a great way to give yourself that visual of, whoa, I am overspending and I am robbing from other envelopes left and right. Then this is going to help you. It's going to help you to assess just how bad we're doing in the money department. So Dave's got some really good points with going to a cash-based envelope system. It's not for everybody, but it can be a really great way to get you kind of the kick in the pants, if that's what you need, to really get focused on your budget even more. So you can go that route too. Before we move off of this, I wanted to talk about apps and budgeting tools that are out there. There is Mint. Mint has been around for years, and I'll put it in chat just in case you haven't used it, but mint.com, it's free. Mint's always been free. It's owned by Intuit, who also owns TurboTax and Quicken, QuickBooks, all of those. So it's a very reliable, secure source for budgeting. It's online. And it's free. Downside, if you read any reviews on budgeting apps that are out there, Mint hasn't really had any updates to their system in probably about 8 years now, ever since Intuit bought them, really. So they're kind of falling behind the times because 8 years in technology land, it's a pretty massive difference in technology. So Mint's getting a little old school in what it can do and what it can attach to. A lot of people are complaining that the budgeting side of it is actually not working as well, but it's out there and it's free. So if money is an issue, free is great. So Mint is always the option. Dave Ramsey has launched his own budgeting software and app called Every Dollar, and that website is everydollar.com. Every Dollar is the most expensive option that is out there, though it doesn't look it when you go onto the site. The site says free everywhere. Dave's kind of, in a sense, being a little tricky on this one, and I love Dave. I'm not going against him here. I know I refer to him as if we're friends. I think everybody does that. We're on a first name basis. The site will say that it's completely free as you get into it. It's not. If you want it to do anything. Yes, there is a free side to it. I can completely make a budget for free. But if I want to link in my accounts, I want to link up credit cards that I have, checking accounts, savings accounts, any of that, so that it auto flows into the program, that costs $99 a year. And that's steep to me. Steep when you compare it to their #1 competitor, which is You Need a Budget. So it's either youneedabudget.com or just Google YNAB. YNAB is the name of their app as well. Youneedabudget.com or their program is $50 a year. It's $5 a month if you want to pay it monthly. That would be $60 a year. It's cheaper if you pay by the year. The other difference between the two, if we're just going off of cost, everydollar.com gives you a 14-day trial of their plus version that lets you bring in all your personal data. So I get a 14-day trial. You Need a Budget gives you a 34-day trial. They want you to have enough time to do a full month plus assess at the end of your month. So either way, the concepts between the two as well, same exact concepts. They're both doing the assign every dollar a job, the true typical budget all the way down. So you can assess as you want. Just keep in mind, Dave is asking for double the money, $50 for You Need a Budget, $99 for Dave. I don't know if Dave's worth the extra $50. But YNAB has great reviews. That's the one that I actually learned about a couple of years ago on a past hangout when we did budgeting from other people. I hadn't heard of that one. Both have apps. Both of the apps kind of have mixed reviews. They're really both tools that are meant to be used on a desktop. And in all honesty, your budget is something that I do want to sit down at a computer and look at a whole bunch of numbers and not necessarily just sit here and mess with it on my phone. It's great to have apps to go along with them. If you spend something and we need to move some things around in a category, that we can do that quickly on an app, but we're not sitting down and making our budget on an app. We're probably doing it at a computer. So that's really how both of them were designed. So those are the three main programs, but I do want to put in a couple links into chat of just free budgeting things that Dave does offer. So not trying to bash on Dave all night long. He has a couple really good freebies. So if you have an irregular monthly income, then this is the link. It's a very long link, but just click on it. That is the link that I just put in chat to his free like paper budget plan to get you started. Helps to map it out. And if you have a set monthly income, then this is your link. Because they do differ. If we've got irregular monthly incomes, we need to have a little bit more padding set up, really. That's the thing that most folks don't realize, that the irregular monthly income isn't just that I have to go off my lowest amount earned. It's that I need to be prepared for that difference because it can be pretty sizable. If I have a really, really bad month, I still have to pay the bills. Nobody's going to take those excuses. So make sure you're using the right one for what your income looks like. So some free tools, good apps. If anybody else has 2 cents to plug in, feel free as well. I'm not quite sure where we'll be on questions tonight, since folks seem to be getting kicked out a lot from the chat side. But I'm going to go back and jump on the 2 questions that are in chat right now, and we can go anywhere else as well that you have. So Chandra has a question on CVS. Does CVS have an official policy regarding accepting expired extra care bucks? They do. They used to not have this, but they actually came out last fall sometime. The months kind of run together for me, so it could have been longer, but last fall sometime came out with a new policy that completely stipulated that they will not take expired store extra care bucks or coupons past 2 weeks of their expiration date. So that's their current policy. In the past, it was at store discretion, and a lot of stores would go much further than 2 weeks, but it is spelled out at 2 weeks now. Chandra, I'm still going to probably tell you that corporate would even say on this one that it's up to the store manager. So some folks are going to have store managers that are just hard line on everything, and they're not going to take it past that day. But hopefully you have a sweet store manager that is going to follow the 2-week rule that corporate has set out. So question on rice. You go through a lot of rice looking for a deal. So two ways to help you here, and I think you're one of the ones that was getting kicked out a lot. So hopefully you can kind of watch the answer later if you aren't still on. But for rice, first would be that we don't go with the big bags. Instead, we get coupons for this. They'll come in the Sunday paper for 50 cents off, 75 cents off Mahatma or Watermaid white rice. Mahatma and Watermaid are the same company. The 1 pound bags, which are the tiniest size rice, are on sale a lot of times for $1. Their regular price is like $1.15 a bag. You've got a 50-cent coupon. If I head into some stores in the South that double, I have possibly a free bag of rice or a 15-cent bag of rice. 15 cents a pound is a great price for rice. I obviously need more than one of those coupons. When I see them come out, though, that might be a moment for you that if you use a lot of rice, that we hop on to sites like thecouponclippers.com and we order more of just that coupon. I don't need 20 inserts just to have a rice coupon, but I can grab 20 rice coupons. I can't use them all at the same time. Most stores will limit the number of like coupons that they're doubling or that you're using in the same transaction. But these coupons are good for a really long time. So normally when they come out, they're good for a good 3 or 4 months at a time. You can use a few every time you're going in the store, getting a pound of rice every time. So that's option 1. Option 2 is that we look for some bulk restaurant supply stores. So I know I've mentioned in the past, like the US Foods Chef store where we get some of our meat from. They're not everywhere. The US Foods in particular. US Foods is in Columbia and Charlotte. I think they're building one somewhere else in the Southeast, but I don't even remember where it is. We do have Gordon Food Service that is in much of the South. I know they're in Tennessee, they're in Florida, there are some in Alabama. Google restaurant supply store in your area to see if there is one in your area. These stores in particular, Gordon Food Service and US Foods, do not require that you even own a restaurant. Anybody can go in there and shop. Now, the reason that I mentioned them, we go there for meat and produce, but they sell rice, and they sell rice in 50-pound bags at really good prices. You can usually get it for about 30 cents a pound using the 50-pound bags. Now, the normal price in a grocery store for even a 10-pound bag or a 20-pound bag of rice, you're still not going to get it for less than 50 cents a pound in the grocery store. And that's a really good price on sale, and maybe even with a coupon. So going for the 30 cents a pound or possibly even lower, that's a great price to stick with. My husband is gluten-free, so I've become the rice deal expert, and that might be you in that boat as well. But hopefully that helps. So one of those two. Let's see if anyone else has managed to even be able to. So Tawana is saving up for a wedding trip in September to the beach. Any ideas? You've got a really long heads up, which is great for getting set. I'm hoping for you, Tawana, that it's just a trip to attend a wedding, because if we're saving up for a wedding, that's a whole nother category. The things that I would start looking for now, well, a couple of options. Obviously, if we're traveling, we need to deal with lodging. If we've got a lot of time in lead up to it, then let's work on hotel points and some kind of reward system behind that. I say that while I sit in a hotel because that's why we're here. We actually had to go to a wedding in South Florida this weekend, and we are making our way home slowly because it was a really long drive. But with that, we use reward systems. So we travel Marriott a lot. We stay at Residence Inns and love the reward system that they have there. One of the ways that we earn points, so I have a ton of Marriott points, can pretty much get a hotel room with free points anytime we need it because we have so many. But one of the ways that we do that, and Dave will cringe here since we're talking budgeting, is that we do use a rewards credit card to make a lot of our routine monthly expenses to pay them, and then we pay off that credit card every month. We're earning points to do that through Marriott. It's a Marriott credit card. And adding up those points then adds up to free lodging whenever we need to travel. That is one option. So just to throw out a weird one, maybe that you weren't even looking at, but you've got 7 months until September, looking into some sort of rewards travel behind it. Also, don't forget about rewards travel that may overlap with a reward that you already have. So Marriott, for instance, works with any of the airline agencies, and I can redeem miles for points. I can redeem points for miles too and go the other way if I wanted to. So you don't have to be stuck in just one reward system. You may find that whatever you are earning actually overlaps with another one, and that could completely pay for your lodging just in rewards. If we're wanting to do something else lodging wise, then it may be that we want to look at like vacation rental by owner. This is how we tend to stay if it's a longer stay than just 1 or 2 nights. And with vacation rental by owner, personal tip on that one is to remember that most of the rates are negotiable. You're dealing with the owner. Now, some of the listings, you're really just dealing with a realty company that's just put their listings on vrbo.com. But if you find a listing that says, managed by owner, and it, definitely reads that way, this isn't a, realty company, but is just one person, talking with them and telling them, hey, I'm coming in for a wedding. These are my dates. I'm willing to book super far out. Even, would you be willing to give me a discount? Or go on a whim and book super close. So an example for us, I helped someone get a deal on vacation rental by owner last week. They needed to travel on Monday, and we were actually closing the deal, securing it on Monday morning. So this is a very last minute, but we started to work with the owner on Sunday, told them all about it. They had an illness. They needed to travel to be near family and deal with that. And the owner ended up knocking the rate by almost $100 a night off of the normal rate. And it wasn't even that high in the first place. It made it cheaper than any hotel that we could possibly find them. So telling them a little of who you are. I'm not scary. I'm not going to trash your house. It's just me and my husband. We're older. Things like that are always things that will help an owner feel a little bit more secure. Last minute can be the best deals. So if you're cool with not having a set place that you're going to stay until possibly a week before, you can get some really, really great rates by doing very last minute on VRBO and telling them, hey, it's last minute. I see you have a couple nights open and I'm coming in. Could I get a discount for booking this last minute on the trip? And you'll be surprised how many of them will say yes. They would much rather have you in the house paying $100 a night than nobody in the house, and they didn't earn anything. So either option would be my way to save on the actual stay of the trip. The travel side of the trip, that can get tricky, but if you're going to drive, then I would recommend that we start now by getting gas station gift card deals whenever the grocery stores run extra point incentives or they run even gift card promotions. Another one to not miss would be Rite Aid deals. We used some Rite Aid Plenty Points actually 2 days ago at an Exxon station down here in Florida. It was just $20 off of our gas. Yes, I have no more Plenty Points to use at Rite Aid, so it was kind of a big decision, but I'm not in Rite Aid that often. I would gladly take the $20 off my gas right now than to just have it sit on my Plenty card. No, it's not going to go anywhere. They don't expire for a really long time, but I might as well take the savings while I need it right now versus just letting it sit there for some future trip to Rite Aid. So you've always got the gas saving side there and numerous ways to save on gas using the fuel reward systems that are out there or fuel loyalty rewards that both BP and Shell offer if you wanted to just sign up for either one of their programs. Okay, I know more. So Vidya came back and asked another question along with the CVS one, that your store will only take them until the date mentioned on the coupon itself. And that one, Vidya, is going to be a tricky one because I'm pretty sure if you call corporate, they're going to tell you it's up to the manager's discretion. But technically, the corporate policy is 2 weeks out. Okay, Nan has a question. I actually get this question in my email a lot, Nan. You were on the CVS website looking at account coupons, and I noticed a link for Veterans Advantage, which for a yearly fee offers discounts and coupons for CVS, Office Depot, travel. The membership would allow me to print out CVS % off coupons without limit for stacking with other coupons. Any feedback on this? So Nan, I can't remember the cost, but I want to say it's like $30 or $40 a year from when I've researched it in the past for other folks. Also, from what I've seen, I don't know, other than the CVS % off coupons, I don't know how much of the coupons are truly exclusive and not coupons that you would get from other avenues. So it's you having to say, do I want to spend the $30 or $40, and you can put in chat what it is because I don't specifically remember. Am I going to save that much using the CVS % off coupons, which do have a limit as to the number that you can print? It doesn't give you one every single time that you want to go to CVS. So make sure you read the fine print on that. You're definitely allowed to stack them with manufacturer coupons and deals. But in the past, there's always been a limit as to how many of them you got. It wasn't just this unlimited number. Keep in mind too that CVS percent off coupons don't work on anything that's on sale. So they work on items that are full price, which there's still a number of in the ad. But if I wanted to go in and grab toothpaste, it's a deal that comes out to be free. Normally, well, that toothpaste is probably on sale, and that percentage off coupon is not going to work with this sale. So I have to factor that into the amount that percentage off coupon is going to save me. If you find that there are a number of things there, it could be worth it. I've always kind of encouraged folks to probably hesitate on grabbing it because I don't know how much you're going to end up saving to really equal the cost of the membership. But if you've kind of done the numbers yourself and you have a good feel for it, then it could be worth it. It's been around for a really long time. That at least gives me some encouragement on it. This isn't a fly-by-night. We decided to start a coupon book company, which there are a lot of coupon book companies. They've been around for ages. So that one right there, their A+ rating, I'm not concerned about the company as a whole, more just that you're getting your money's worth out of what you're paying for. Is Costco a good price? I found it for $16 for a 50-pound bag. So yes, and let's see, just super fast. That would be 32 cents a pound. Yes, it's right at what we're gonna pay. And maybe it's a tad bit cheaper. We haven't had to buy it recently. 50-pound bag is a lot of rice, and it will take most people a little while to go through that. So I don't remember the last price we paid at the restaurant supply store, but you're at 32 cents a pound at $16, and that would be my go price. Anything less than 50 cents, you've beat the grocery store price. So if you already have the Costco membership, if you don't, then you're paying a lot for a bag of rice once we add in the membership. Yeah, Nan, if it's almost $70, I don't know that you're going to save that much in CVS alone just with the percent off coupon. So I don't know that I would jump on it unless you see a lot of other stores that you're regularly shopping in. I mean, we don't want to go off and spend money in Office Depot just because we have a coupon for it. It's more, am I always in this store? Do I have a lot to spend? Then maybe, but I hesitate at $70 to join a discount club. I won't even join a Costco club for $70, so I'm not probably going to pay for it either. But if you felt like it would be a discount for you, then it could be worth it. Okay, well, either chat messing up or me not posting the link to us tonight. We're ahead in terms of questions for the night. So any questions you have, feel free to throw them in there. We talked budgeting and everything that I had in my notes, but one thing that I didn't have, and I know I mentioned last time, this also brought in some questions last time, is that when you're dealing with your budget, one whole side that's actually really important is that this is a budget that everybody needs to be okay with. So it can't just be me sitting down and mapping out what our budget's gonna be. That's not how it works. If your family has 2 people spending money, then both people need to be okay with what is being laid out in the budget. Because if I just decide we're not going to eat out for lunch ever, and I tell my husband that, he may not really like that I've just decided that he's not ever going to do anything other than pack a lunch. That's not always his style, and it makes it kind of hard too. So if everyone in the office is going out for lunch, you're going to say, you can't go out ever. That's a decision you need to make together. So have a date night where we're mapping out budget, make sure we're on the same page for budget, but we're not gonna, it's not gonna work if we sit down and one person's making the rules. It doesn't mean that the second person even wants to do this. Budgeting isn't something that most of us even enjoy, but odds are between the 2 of you, there is one of you who enjoys it a little bit more than the other one. So they may hate it, but we still have to be on the same page. Maybe it means that you kind of get things prepared and you say, look at these categories. This is what we spent last month, and that's the joy of budgeting apps, by the way. This is what we spent last month. This is what we're spending this month. Do you think that you can handle this? I've reduced this category and this category and this category. Is this doable? And letting them put in their feedback behind it. But at the same time, we have to be reasonable too. So if someone says, even if it's you, if they come to you and say, you know what, you can't spend $150 on clothes. If the money is not there, you can't do it. This is how a budget works. And it's how a budget needs to work across the board for everybody, even in a business. So in a business that has numerous people making the decisions, they still need to follow the budget that is mapped out before them. And if one person says, well, you know what, I want to buy meat for this function that we're going to do, if there's not money in the budget to do that, then you're not going to buy anything for what's going on. That's not how it works in business world, and that's kind of how it needs to work in a family world, but we've all got to be on the same page to follow that, or else someone's off buying whatever they want because they don't really care about your budget. So we need to try really hard to get everybody on the same page. It's not a punishment, and it's going to have some compromise. You're not going to like some of the things you give up. They're not going to like some of the things they give up. But that's part of us both meeting our goals together, is that we both had to compromise and work towards those goals together. It's not just one of us laying down the law on the other one, because it doesn't really go well for your marriage as a whole. So just so we talked about that one, because it is kind of crucial that we're all on the same page. Let's see, making sure I didn't miss anybody else's. And if anybody has any other budgeting apps that they've used, feel free to put those in chat too, other than the 3 that I mentioned. I know that there are probably others out there. Those are just the 3 big ones right now. And I see one person typing, so we'll give you time to finish. We may just end early tonight since it's just a small group of us. Okay, so some tax questions, and we had some of these last week too, as we're in tax season. Vidya says, I use swag bucks and I'm doing fine with it until I earn less than $600 a year. I'll only be liable for taxes if I exceed that within the financial year. Please clarify. So with anything, earning-wise, with any company, anytime you make more than $600 or more from any company, that company is required to send you a 1099. 1099 is a miscellaneous income form for the U.S. government. So if you're using swag bucks, if I go crazy with Ibotta, whatever your earnings are, if you've earned over $600 from that company, they are required to send you a 1099. Then the next question folks have is, well, do I still have to submit that on my taxes and share it, basically? Yes, because the 1099 that they give to you, they're required to also mail a copy of that 1099 to the government. So the government knows about it. They told them. And really for the business, it's of no consequence to them. They don't pay the taxes on the $600 like you're going to have to. So they're glad to tell the government. This isn't a, we won't tell if you tell, you don't tell kind of thing. They have to share their copy of the 1099 that they gave to you. So the government already knows. And if you submit your taxes and you don't file it on your taxes, they can come back a year or 2 later, and they can say, hey, this 1099 was filed and we don't see it in your forms, and they will have you owe them money plus interest. This happened to us. So I've learned this one well. And it was solely off of a bank account interest that we had long forgotten that the savings account even existed. And it's kind of a strange story that we won't get into. It wasn't a ton of money. But bank account interest forms are submitted to the government, and bank account interest forms need to be submitted on your side too. It's a different classification for payment on taxes. It's not just straight income. So we had missed that form between moving and whatnot, never got our copy, didn't include it on our taxes. Year and a half later, the government sent us a form saying, we have this form, it was submitted, you didn't claim it. So you're gonna owe the money if you don't. Anything over $600 that any 1099 is ever written for. So always be ready for that. And I know with Ibotta especially, so I use that as an example, if you're earning with any of these rebate apps, it's hard because you're thinking, well, I spent that money. This is really like a return on my expenditures, but that's not how they're looking at it. So it is income that came back to you, and it has to be claimed as such. So I'm not a public accountant, but that's your tax advice for the night. We'll go ahead and I guess call it there for tonight. We're going to do Hangout again next week. I will post the link next week so that more folks join us as well. We've been having a fun day at Cape Canaveral today, so I had other folks helping me on the site, and I just never got that post up. But next week, same time, Monday night, 8:30. I don't really know what we're going to talk about, but I always come up with something. And if you have any ideas of things that you want us to talk about, feel free to email me, Jenny@SouthernSavers.com. Always glad to cover whatever your topics might be. So we will go wherever I think of or you guys ask for next Monday night. And I hope you guys have a great night. And we'll just end a few minutes early. So have a good week.